Ladies and gentlemen, concluding the second day of our conference sessions, our next session is titled Technology and Market Imperatives for NOC Rooms in India. This panel will explore the opportunities and trends in the AV industry, the transformation of NOC rooms, and provide insights into the business potential of this rapidly evolving market. Experts will also discuss how the adoption of cloud, IoT, AI, and 5G technologies is redefining NOC operations, requiring advanced analytics, automation, and integration.
Thank you so much, Ratika. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this panel discussion. I have some amazing panelists over here, some industry stalwarts, uh, pioneers in their own field. This is a very interesting topic, which is very close to my heart as well, my passion. Setting up of a control room or a command center. Uh, Here we have named it as NOC rooms. Uh, but I feel anything which can be controlled from a single room, which can be called as a control room, can be like a NOC, which is a network operating center, or we call it as an SOC, which is a securities operation centers, or we call it as a command control center. So we will try to bisect this terminologies in terms of the market acceptance and the key areas which are factoring the increase in demand of the control command centers overall in the Indian industry. So, I have a very initial point where I feel the panelists would be able to justify that, how do we see the industry evolving in terms of setting up of operating centers or a command centers in next 2 to 3 years time, and what are the key drivers in this industry segments which you feel that will create some growth for the NOC. So maybe starting from Unni, who has been at the forefront of putting up the backbones for the command control centers. Unni, I would like you to respond on this. How do you see this industry growing in next 2 3 years, and what are the key drivers which will influence this growth?
Yeah, thank you, Mustafa. If you look at the industry as such, right, I mean, AV has been there for a very long time. But if you look at the NOC centers, we have always had command rooms in places. But then, if you look at the technology as such, people were just looking at normal workstations to be there and just connect the stuff onto the wall. That's it. They were not looking at the back end, like let's say in terms of a security aspect, what is there in this, or an ease of use which is to be done. Now, if you look at customers like banks, or if you look at defense companies or any IT data centers, right? They are looking at having all these things at like ease of use, how they can actually move forward, use it more extensively in such places. So that's what is happening now, and people are more open to have new technologies in these places. And if you look at any company which is coming up newly into India, or be it the Indian customers who are looking at an expansion, everyone has a NOC or a SOC or a different type of command center which is happening. And one of the biggest things which I'm seeing in terms of command centers is people don't look at, let's say, a single type of a command center. Like people are not looking at just a network operations, or maybe they're not looking at a type of security operations. What we see more is fusion centers. You can see people actually doing different stuff in that. Like it can be in security, it can be a network operating, it can be a cyber security, or it can be physical security. So they're actually bringing a place which is a common platform for all these people to sit and monitor. And the other thing which is happening nowadays is an international level of looking at it. Like for example, some of the, if you see banking companies, they have a follow the sun protocol. What they do is they have an Indian NOC center, people sitting in India, but once the time is done for them, let's say by evening in India, the guys in UK will take over. Post that, the US guys would be monitoring it. So that is also something which is really catching up and going on.
So, what I take from your understanding is that, as the operational part is becoming more easy, the adaptability is becoming, more focused in the organizations. Plus, the threats of data security is again one of the factors which are influencing companies to move on towards establishing the command control rooms, the network operating centers, and so on and so forth. Am I right?
Absolutely right. That's the way the industry is moving forward.
Okay, great. So moving on to Firdosh, who has been in the industry for I don't know how many years, very very senior to us. We have been seeing him and learning so many things in the industry. Firdosh, you have been around and you have seen the industry from top to the bottom level. How do you feel, about this understanding that now the NOC acceptability has increased, and how do you see the market going, for NOCs in next 2 to 3 years?
Hello. Thank you, Mustafa, for the introduction. For me, personally, I feel that for the customer, the NOC is a huge investment and they want something which is highly reliable. So reliability and is very, very important in a NOC center. And secondly, it's the equipment should work, whether it's the whole setup should work 24/7, 365 days of the year with almost zero downtime. So you cannot afford to have any, downtime in the. So it's very, very important that it's a very robust system design. So people are now realizing that the importance of designing a proper NOC center is very, very important, and integrating all the components so that it works well. Because, in the past there has been disasters, where people just buy different products from different vendors, and that's where the role of the AV integrator is very, very important, and the consultant, so that it should be a well designed system which works 24/7. Redundancy, for example, is very, very important. So if any component within the NOC center fails, there's a redundant system to take over. So I think so reliability, redundancy, and the last thing is the service, the SLA. How the AV system integrator, or how what kind of response time do you give to the customer? I think so. One is the equipment parameters and the specifications, but what the customer really wants is a well-designed control room with a reliable product with a lot of redundancy, so that at any point of time, the system is never down. So and of course the cyber security. So for example, Planar, we are one of the first companies which on some of our display, on a 105-inch display, we have a cyber certification, European cyber certification. So I think so slowly that will become almost mandatory. Right now it's an optional thing, but with the cyber security theft, cyber security attack, and NOC being very critical kind of this thing. So reliability, redundancy, and also a good customer service is that will really enhance the experience of the customer. In terms of technology, especially in display, since I'm from the display field, the products which are coming out like micro LED and COB and a lot of other new products. But product is anybody can give, any vendor can give a product. But I think so what is very important is the role of the system integrator and keeping the customer satisfied. I think so that's more important. How much of a technology or latest product you give, if you're not able to maintain the equipment, and if it does not run 24/7, there's no point in investing those millions of dollars, in a NOC room. That's it.
Perfect, Firdoshji. What I take away from your pointers is that first factor is the install has to be reliable, wherein you have the equipments which are best of the best. The people who are integrating it should be knowledgeable enough to know how this equipment works. And the third point, what I understand is very, very important, that your investments have to be safe. The customer always has that understanding that, if they are ready to invest a huge amount, maybe in crores we are talking about, and if the investment is not safe, that is always going to be a dilemma whether they are actually investing it in or not. Thank you so much, Firdosh. One of my questions which is not yet answered, and I would like to give it across to Ravi again. Ravi has been, at the forefront of Delta, and somebody who has been into this actual field for so long. And Delta is definitely, one of the very old names in the data centers, control command centers. So, I would request you to start off with that answer, that where do you see this industry going in next 2 to 3 years? And then what are the factors which will, influence this growth?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, as told by Mr. Mustafa, I'm jack of all. I'm not from this industry. I have total 30 years of experience, which is basically in various industries, including AV also, of course. I work for some AV also. So the key drivers for this particular industry, AV industry, especially in NOC rooms, is digital transformation is the first key. That is the reason everyone is going towards monitor everything, measure everything, analyze everything, and make some kind of predictive analytics. So digital transformation is the major key. Then comes cyber security, because the world is so dynamic. Every now and then we keep hearing a lot of cyber frauds, and so much of, can say, cyber security became very, very vital in every industry, not just data center, everywhere, telecom, everywhere. Even you touch a small young school-going kid, he also is getting threatened by, in a cyber way. So you might be hearing so many stories like that. So that is very important. So going forward in the next 2 to 3 years, this NOC will be a kind of hybrid NOC. It's a NOC plus SOC. Basically, people call it as CNOC also, cyber NOC also. That is one of the trends. And then comes the smart cities, the program which was actually started in India, but okay, of late actually it started picking up the aggression. Otherwise, in the last 4 or 5 years, everything went back to the thing. Otherwise, initial days we started at least 4 or 5 smart cities, and people already had this kind of NOC rooms. So now again, that is coming the forefront, and that will be one more key driver for this NOC room. And then comes your, my own favorite, very close to my heart, is data center, and of course telecom. If you see the data center boom, it's very, very high in India. India is now number 4 in the world, number of data centers, and in the terms of capacity also. And we'll be number 3 very soon, after US, and then comes Australia, then India. That is very soon by 2028, that is the projection. So every data center, there are around 12 data center companies in India, but having 240 different data centers, every data center is having a NOC. And the expansion is now going at a CAGR of around 40%. So that is one of the things. And telecom, yes, to manage so many towers, like telecom networks, and to manage the throughput and the bandwidth, you should have a video wall in NOC center. It's a must. And now the era is now 5G, and people may be thinking about 6G also, who knows. So this is the 4th driver. These 4 are very, very essential. And finally comes, it's very last but not the least, is the transportation and logistics. People like every even tier 2 and tier 3 city also is having now metro. Some construction of metro is going on, or some plan is getting implemented. So every metro network is as good as any kind of utility network. They should be watched and monitored very quickly on a different video wall. So going forward, in the coming 2-3 years, I'm foreseeing so many things will be monitored, especially by artificial intelligence, AI and ML, because today world is of entire AI. Everything will be monitored by AI. Now the kind of networks, the kind of network speed, everything you cannot monitor with a conventional kind of NOC center. So it should be a kind of AI conditioned or ML conditioned kind of NOC rooms. So that's what I'm seeing. And present market is, I understand that it's going at the category of 15% in AV industry I'm talking about. So thank you.
Perfect. So that's how Ravi has put this across, that India is growing, infrastructure is growing, and that's how the need for the command centers or the control rooms are growing. And definitely India is on the forefront of technology globally, whether it comes to artificial intelligence or virtual reality or augmented reality. With this kind of adaptations coming in the Indian industry, control rooms are going to be mandatory. One thing which Ravi mentioned is the smart cities. So moving on to Varad, I connect that statement to him because Varad has been, handling the government part of it, and I'm sure smart cities would be very close to his heart. So putting this question to him as to, from the angle of the government business, or how our government is moving ahead and what are the plans, what are the factors which you feel that, we will see control command centers coming up in the near future in the government side of this business, Varad?
That's a great question, Mustafa. Thank you for the introduction as well. So I come from a background of public sector, not the private sectors as the esteemed panelists here. So we have a very different outlook with regards to how NOCs and SOCs function. We feel that it's very perfunctory with regards to collaborating with different verticals across the government and not have NOCs and SOCs. When I say NOCs in particular, I come from Maharashtra Cyber, I act as an advisor to them. And when I say that, it's a proud statement with regards to that we are one of the first states to spend around 800 crores for having an NOC set up, which is being taken care of L&T and KPMG. So that is one of the aspects that we proactively look into with regards to Maharashtra Cyber. Also, when you say that, how is government's outlook with regards to NOCs? I think it's very mumsumous with regards to the approach that the government takes, where it believes that it's the legacy technology per se that we used to use are outdated, and that is firmly believed by the government now. So when we come with comparison to the global dynamics, I think India is expecting a growth of about 6 to 7% globally with regards to NOCs and SOCs. When you say, what are we doing as a government with regards to digitalization and, as my esteemed panelist said, digital transformation, I would very likely point out to Astram, that is the NOC being used in the Karnataka police. So what they do is they have different data sets from drones, CCTVs, and all other spectrum wherever they can have a vigilant system, police officers on road, traffic polices, and combine them in one system. So I think it's a need of R when we say NOC is integral for India's growth, SOC is integral for India's growth. And to cite an example very well for commendable for Maharashtra and the Maharashtra Cyber Department under the leadership of Shri Yashashvi Yadav, that we were very proactive with regards to Pakistani attacks that happened. And we had cyber threats coming in, malware attacks. And that is where I think an integral aspect of NOCs and SOCs comes in place. Because as my friend Ravi said, with regards to AI and ML being integrated in NOCs and SOCs, I believe what does it do for a command center analyst is that it combines small complaints that are coming throughout. A cyber analyst picks up a call, he gets 1,000 or 100 complaints, and there's a pattern that has been identified by AI. And then it points out to a direction where your attention is needed. So that is where I think AI and ML will play a bigger transformative feature with regards to NOCs. Second, I believe with the AV sector that we see in Maharashtra Cyber, we have a great setup there with regards to how many complaints have come in, what is the status of those complaints, what are the attacks that are happening throughout the state, and to have a cyber analyst look at the call data in front of them, where they understand how many complaints have been resolved, how many complaints are being pending. I think that is something which will move private sector in a transformative manner because it becomes proactive. I think over the years, you gentlemen might have noticed that there was a complaint with regards to how government handles complaints, police with regards to how they solve it. But I think NOC is going to change it. So one of the major steps that we feel was Pakistani attacks that we proactively found out and curbed it, and on the social media we promoted it. So I very well feel that in the $1 trillion economy that Maharashtra sees itself, NOC is a big part in it.
Absolutely. We as a country are like, masterminds when it comes to computers and programming and artificial intelligence. So there's no doubt about it. And, one very important factor when we talk about NOC is how we handle the data. Everything in this world is going to be accessed through data, and data analytics, data mining, how do you do it, how well do you do it, is going to get represented in any kind of a control room. As Varad was mentioning, that we had so much of information, and we could, prevent so many attacks, whether it was from, Pakistan, or from, we have cyber threats coming in, or we have data, attacks happening in corporate houses. Like, some few years ago, we saw a Zoom server being hacked. So these are certain instances which leave us wondering as to where do we get this data, and even if we have this data, how do we analyze it? So what I understand, data analytics is definitely a very, very different field, in-depth field to talk about. But all this connected to it is, like, I would say, how do you analyze the data cognitively? A cognitive analysis of the data what you have is something which you can show it on a NOC or a control room, which gives you a crisp information for the users to act upon. Otherwise, if you have loads of data coming onto a control room and the person would not even understand that which data is critical, which is not critical, what is urgent, what is important, and what is just, a garbage in. So moving on from that part, I like to take up some technology factors here in the discussion. Starting from you, Varad, again, how do you see the emerging technologies, like, people moving on to cloud, IoTs, AIs, and, we are talking about 5Gs and 10Gs. How will these technologies transform the NOC scenarios or the control command centers?
Also, being a co-founder of an AI company, I think I have to back artificial intelligence here. I see there's a concept called as dark NOC rooms. What do I mean by dark NOC rooms is where an artificial intelligence steps in with AI and ML with very minuscule human intervention and to analyze a pattern of threat that is being coming in. That is where I think artificial intelligence plays a key role with regards to transforming the NOCs. Also, coming to your question with regards to how do I see the upcoming future of NOCs, I think when we talk about 5G, let's take it a step beyond, not to 10G but to 6G. So when we say 6G is coming on, we mean that a load of data that is going to be there, that is going to be handled in a very effective manner. When we talk about effective NOCs, we talk about minuscule latency. That is the job of NOC and SOCs, right? If the information is coming in from, let's say, a police command center from a district, and it's coming to the main headquarters based off in Mumbai, the latency needs to be at par with regards to the information that's coming in. And that's where I think 6G and quantum computing as well as AI will play a major role. Also, with regards to NOC's set up in Maharashtra Cyber, we have fiber ethereal networks that are being connected to the whole NOC setup. We also use 5G with regards to whenever the system is down, so that we can use another source of power and another source of network. I see something that is coming in is with regards to Starlink. When we say Starlink, I believe that's the future that we are moving towards with Elon Musk's and satellite internet that we can very effectively use. I think that is where the future of NOC is, where latency is reduced. And we move to a future with regards to having everything on point with vigilance and everything with regards to SOCs that we could tackle with AI. I think when I say that, where are we right now? I think people believe AI is going to take their job. I don't see it as a threat, because in NSO, we believe AI is something that you have to be compatible with regards to the future of NOC. When you say who do we need in that NOC room as the in charge or supervisor of that NOC? We believe it should be an officer that is compatible with laws, vigilance, understands AI, and knows how to operate the NOC. So that is the future that I look into. And coming to your sector, I believe AV is your prima facie playground. So I believe in AV, when we talk, railway has a very big screen setup. And I think the future of NOCs with comparison to the 4K or HD videos or surveillance that comes in, there is a transformation that is going to come in the AV industry with regards to replacing a screen or maybe repairing the screen, where actually it's been seen that, where these cubicles in the NOCs, where if one sector is not working properly, you just remove it, but the NOC is intact. So I think that future, as well as when I say when we have 4K surveillance, HD surveillance, I mean to say that your AV industry should handle zooming into the CCTV surveillance, where if I am going to catch a thief or I'm going to catch a operation that is going on behind the backs in the surveillance, I can see it. I believe that transformation is required with regards to zooming in into the 4K video that is coming in. And I think that is the transformation we are looking at.
First, Varad, we welcome you to the AV industry. So it's not our industry anymore. You are a part of it now. After being on the show, one thing which triggered me from what Varad said was, we have so much of data. How do we process it? And one word which I want Ravi to dwell upon is that real-time basis, RTB, which we call it in our industry. Since you are from a background where you make processors, you make displays, you set up data centers, so everything revolves around you here. So we have so much of technology, but are we as an industry manufacturer geared up to take this information from Varad and process it on a real-time basis, which he says कि भाई चोर भाग रहा है और हमको उसको real time में zoom करके identify करना है और next edge पे पकड़ लेना है. Is it something which we are geared up to do?
Yeah, so Delta Electronics, yes, our core is electronics. You see any kind of laptop or any kind of thing, we are the original design manufacturer for small fan or a heat sink, everything. And now when it comes to artificial intelligence, the main guy of chip is NVIDIA, and we are partners of NVIDIA. We actually manufacture for them also. So that is the electronics background Delta is having in their DNA. Now coming back to AV industry, as mentioned by Varad, the real-time assessment of a situation. Delta is having display, like we have a DLP kind of video walls, which is highly responsive in terms of, you can do the real-time assessment of a situation, and you can zoom in and clearly you can watch that. And it is basically, advantage here is that it is scalable and modular also. What we call is, it's a video cube actually. Okay, it's a DLP video cubes. So like as mentioned by Varad, already actually he talked on my behalf. Even if one cube fails, rest of the wall keeps working.
That's what I said. Varad is a part of AV industry now, so he cannot say we as an AV. We are all included now.
That is one, and other important thing is that if you're now having 5G and coming to 6G, your particular video wall should be capable enough to handle the throughput of the data, which in the current or maybe in the next previous generations video walls and display technologies won't have that kind of capability. Whereas now that technology has already come, Delta is having it, maybe some others also are having it. I don't deny that point. That is very, very essential. Otherwise, as mentioned by, I think again, Varad only, you have every technology, everything, but you don't know how to use it, or you don't have a backbone to use that. So everything should be kept ready for the network, and how to handle the throughput of bandwidth, and how to again do the prioritize the things. Suppose a police command center, maybe a cyber or police command center, for example, having various like a total video wall, you have various captures of from various locations. But some alarming situation happened at one point of time. Now, with the use of AI, you can prioritize that immediately, and that will prioritize, and that will monitor, and that will follow the particular screen, and that will do the analysis also. That's the kind of technology you are looking into, and as mentioned by you, it can't be a kind of fairy tale, but going forward in the future, we can see catching a thief or catching something, some miscreants is very easy using this technology.
No, absolutely. It was just an example, a very right example given by Varad that, when you talk about police and, somebody who's just running away, how do you identify that person? In the same way, I have seen certain information in a control room, the securities operation center, wherein there is a data center and people are moving, operating, or just checking, and something happens and that person collapses. How would the control room know that that person has collapsed? There is absolutely no trigger. What kind of triggers are we expecting? So your camera systems, your the CCTV surveillance systems have to have that kind of an AI feature which will detect that this is an abnormality. If a person is moving, he is normal. If he has fallen down, or if he has collapsed, or if he is missing, then that should be reported as an alert to the control room. Am I right? Okay. So, for this, definitely we need supercomputers, and we are working on it. Apart from the supercomputers, I'm sure Delta is working on making the processors, super processors now, so that the information what we get from those kind of computers is processed with absolutely zero latency and zero delay. Connected again to this, I would put this question to Firdosh. Uh, you know, you have been you're talking to a lot of customers on setting up the command control centers, NOCs. What display technologies and features you feel are most suitable while setting up of a NOC?
Yeah. Thank you, Mustafa, for the question. So, what's very important, the basic first thing is the resolution of the screen. So basically, how many images they want to see simultaneously. So based on that, we have new technologies. Planar has, in terms of micro LED, we have 0.6 mm. Now it's even going to 0.4 mm. So the pixel pitch, or the distance between the LEDs, higher resolution. So resolution becomes extremely important. Second, like what I mentioned earlier, is that the customer wants to know about redundancy, or if there is like what he mentioned, Varad, if there is any failure, what's the backup? Is it modular?
Maybe we talk it as hot swappable systems.
Yeah, hot
now.
swappable. So we have a product which has a controller product which has a hot swappable power supply. So even if the power supply fails while the video wall is on, you can replace the power supply without the video wall getting affected at all. So so these kind of things. Then 5G, very important. Some of our video walls can support 5G bandwidth. So we've already introduced into the market 5G bandwidth. So so the amount of data, you talked a lot about data. So the amount of data that it can carry is much more, much higher. And this helps in lower points of failure, because the number of cables required is much lesser, because one cable can carry much more higher data. So so again, coming back to reliability, that's extremely important in any control room, because you don't want to even miss that fraction of a second information. There's so much of data. And another thing which we have is, which customers want is remote monitoring. So if there is some event which happens, the customer will automatically get an email alert. So you can set it up. So so these are features which for very, very critical components, NOC centers is very important, where even AI can play a very important role, where instead of a human intervention, AI will send that email alert automatically. So these are things which will be in the future, definitely. Right now, it's the system, the processor, which is sending the email alerts. But I'm sure at some point of time, all the remote monitoring and all the redundant jobs and alerts and all will be taken over by AI. And I think so AI has got a very big role to do in the control rooms. And one last thing is one last point which I wanted to add is the ergonomics of the control room. So how the seating arrangement is done, so that you are able to capture that's also extremely important. So that you don't miss on any information. So ergonomics and designing of the control room furniture is also extremely important. That's it.
Perfect. So Firdosh has covered all the parts of the control room. But what majorly I understand is that the output has to have that capability of showing the maximum available data. And the data source should be good enough. They should be available properly with good resolution. I'm talking about the hops. So the data comes to the computer. The computer should be, having that kind of capability in processing that data and maybe scaling that data up. Then sending it to a video processor or a server over there, and that server should be fast enough to reproduce that data and send it back to the screens, and the screen should be capable enough of processing that data in that same live speed and showing it back to the control rooms. So these are the major hops which I could understand with very little knowledge what I have in the industry. And now moving on to Unni, I have some very interesting question for you. See, we have seen that data is available, or people are trying to collect data from various sources. One of the sources, which Varad mentioned, that you may have, CCTV feeds, and Ravi mentioned that there'll be data center feeds, and Firdosh mentioned that there'll be a lot of corporate information which may come in. When, a very out of thought example which I was talking about to one of the companies, manufacturing company, that they said that I have a data from drones and I have a data from body cameras. For any kind of disaster, I will have my people moving around the entire factory area or my plant area wearing body cams. And there will be drones monitoring. There will be CCTV surveillance 24/7. So I thought, why would you need a body camera to be shown live? So he said, no, I need everything to be shown live into a control room. Because at times a CCTV camera may not be able to show that clearly what a body camera can do. And I was like, yeah, this is one aspect which is, requiring certain thoughts. So being, coming from an background, you, as a company, you have been, pioneering the processing part of it. How do you see this kind of technology demands from the customer being fulfilled by you as a manufacturer?
Yeah, body cam is one of the sources which you see. You have the normal cameras which you also have. You may have some other data also which is coming in. It can be a SCADA which comes in or whatever, right? So the main thing that you need to have when you get all these data is you have to show it on the screen then and there. The latency has to be near zero. When you talk about body cams, why do people look at this as a thing? Like Haivision has been one of the biggest sellers into public safeties in US or be it Canada or all those places, right? We have traffic also is one of the things. But what happens when you look at police or such people is like, what the reason of body cameras, right? It is like it's a POU, like you are actually seeing like a point of view. You know what's happening there. If you have an RTSP stream or a UDP stream or let's say an SRT stream, these are the kind of streams which is generally used by people so that the latency is super low. You are actually getting it onto the video wall in like what 100 milliseconds. You talk about it and it's already up on the screen. That is what this is all about. And if you see a police, like they are actually getting into a situation where there's a firing which is happening. They want to know where what is happening and it has to come onto the screen at that second so that the people who are in the monitoring room, the NOC center, can react on it. Let's say you don't have a time to call a 911, right? There is an issue which is happening. What you need is the people who are monitoring you live send the units then and there. I mean, that is what happens with all these things. And when you look at processing, you have lots of processors in the market, no doubt about it. What you need is the thing to come then and there on the screen, right? That is where Haivision stands out. Other than the body cam, one of the things which I wanted to talk about was like we spoke about AI, and Varad was talking about the way things has to come out in terms of like you are working with police, like as an advisor, right? So one thing which I always see in such places is Haivision has this products which is used for drones and also for ships and all, which is a transmitter, which is a fanless transmitter which runs from like minus 45 to 75 degrees of temperatures. And this is actually kept in your Predator drones and all those, right? What happens with this is, again, this is linked with AI. So when we have companies whom we work with, and what happens is when this is flying around, it can actually go to the level of detecting a vehicle movement or a person movement and all those things. And we can also automate it with REST APIs such that what Mustafa was talking about, like a person falls down, something like that, right? You can actually also link it in such a way, you see a trigger like this coming onto your screen with a REST API, so that a person who's sitting in the room can, okay, there is a person who has fallen down, there is an issue like this, let's take it up. So these are things which we have been doing a lot in US and other places. And we really would like to bring such things into India. And we are really looking forward to that. Haivision has proved that in other places. Let's hope we get a chance in India for that. The other thing which we talk about in India, right? I mean, when we talk about in US, we have this thing called as gunshot detection. We have things like number plate detection. But when you talk to police and all those people about that or traffic, right? They say, no, I don't think we need that in India. But that is where people like you can actually help people like us make them understand the reason why these are things needed. So, I mean, I think it's a collaboration of all of us together in this. Yeah. Thank you.
No, absolutely. You know, we are here working as a team. So I'm sure what technology is available in AV is something which has to be, used by our government and make something better out of it for people like us. Moving at the end of the show, I think we are already at 5. So I'll put up a last concluding question to the panel. See, everybody has been involved in projects, and we have set up NOCs. I, including myself, have set up few NOCs, in the last few years. So we all have some challenges while integrating and while planning and designing, and at the end, at the time of the handover to the customer. So I would like the panelists to share their experiences as to what are those one or two major issues which they have faced right from planning to the execution, and how did they overcome that problem? Just to highlight to our audiences and even between us. So starting from Unni, I'll move on this way.
Yeah, so basically we have not faced too much of challenges as Haivision in terms of end of the cases. What we face as a challenge in India is basically at the start of the case. Like the main features which we as a company talk about to the customers is the experience of ease of use with the product, the kind of performance the product does for the 24/7. And the other major aspect wherein we do a lot of R&D and put a lot of monies into security. And we try to make the customers understand why security is really important for them in those places. Unfortunately, in India, somehow that security aspect, when you try to make them understand, it doesn't hit them the way it has to hit. When I tell them like it's a NOC center, there is a security issue, they actually come back and tell us that it's an internal room. So why are you worried about that? It is a different network from my internet network. And I tell them, no, actually, it is never like that. I mean, even if it's an internal network, you have a lot of employees. It doesn't mean all the employees are great, right? One wrong USB or one different thing is enough for the entire network to get screwed. And that's a big aspect which I'm trying to make people understand. Few customers do understand, others don't. So that's a big challenge which I always face here.
Firdosh, I'm sure, has a lot of experiences like this, right from planning and execution, and even at the support levels. So please share your experiences on this.
Thank you, Mustafa, for the interesting question. I think that the first thing is manpower, having trained manpower. At Planar, what we do, we ensure that we supervise each and every installation, especially in NOC rooms. And I'm sorry to say, as a system integrator, the manpower change is so much that people who we have trained last time, the next time we don't see them.
But the problem here, let me address this question. The problem here is, the OEMs like you poach people from us. So we train people and we become like, an industry where we take the raw materials and put them to a finishing process and process them as a finished product, and then you people come in and you just poach them.
Yeah. So first is the manpower, and of course we are in the effort of continuously training the manpower, and getting good manpower is always a challenge in the AV industry. Second thing is that what we've noticed is that the customer is always in a hurry to finish the installation. And even if the work is going, there's so much dust in the room. Jaldi khatam karo installation. I think that's one thing which you have to make the customer understand, that haste makes waste, and the customer has to be patient and give ample time for the installation and let the technicians do a lot of job. Because if you make them work 24/7, pura raat bhi kaam karo, then the quality of work suffers. So I think it's very important for the customer to understand not to put unrealistic deadlines for completion, So that is very important. So a clean room is very, very important for installing any wall. Third thing which I've faced very often is the air conditioning, the temperature. These are very large walls. Like recently we installed in Bombay Airport a 22-meter wall. And it generates a lot of heat. And if the air conditioning is not working and there's a lot of humidity, there's going to be failures. So I think the environment is very, very important. That's extremely important, that when the installation is going on, you need a neat, clean and environment. Another thing is, we faced this issue, there's some flickering, cables. Cables is another very important, how the fiber cables are terminated, or sometimes the dust enters the fiber cables. We face this problem often, that because many people don't really get a optical fiber meter and check the quality of work done. So many times the problem is the cables. So I can tell you 15 other points, but these are some of the things which came immediately to my mind. That one is the first is the manpower, trained manpower, a good room, giving enough time for the AV integrator to do his job, not putting unnecessary pressure that work, finish it fast, because then the quality of work will suffer. And of course, cabling should be very good. It should be very neat and tidy. It should not look like a total mess. All the cables should be bind together properly, and it should be a neat and clean job. So that's very, very, very important. And just one more point, last point, just when you were talking about, Planar has this company called OptiTrack. So we have motion tracking cameras which can capture 10,000 frames per second. So maybe that technology can also be used for drones. Currently, we've sold a lot of these cameras to IITs and all, where they're doing research work on drones. So it can even monitor 1,000 drones at a time. So that is something, fast tracking motion cameras are there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Firdosh. So 3 points. What I understand the serious problems that Firdosh is facing is the skilled resources. And the other is the customer's unwillingness to create that infrastructure for having this kind of an install. And again, third is related to the manpower ability, that you have a good skilled people. Yeah, skilled people, then the quality of the install will definitely be better. And the customer has to be a little patient when it comes to giving timelines on a project. So they have to give certain specific timelines. I agree. While the first point came in manpower and Ravi was smiling, I said, okay, I have hit the right button. So yes, Ravi, please, please share your problems and the solutions as well.
See, Firdosh Saab has covered almost many points which I want to discuss. But I will give a different scenario. One is skilled manpower. It's very tough to get. But the situation, I'll tell you why it's actually a lesson which I learned hard way. Why a project documentation is very, very important while executing any project. I'll give an example. One of the project manager, X, he's taken up job from X company, OEM, as a system integrator. And other side, customer side, one more project manager. Initial documentation was poor and the Gantt chart is made but with some different timelines, whereas end user wanted something different. One fine morning, this person's resigned from OEM side. He's gone. New project manager entered. So he started digging out the information. He found a lot of lacunae here and there, and he made the fresh documentation. And by the time he submitted that, that person left. Customer end. Oh, one more project manager from customer end. So it became a mess. Ultimately, there was a rework of, can you imagine, it's, I'm talking about data center project, rework of almost 5 to 6 months. Everywhere an issue, cabling issue, ducting an issue, even video wall an issue, everywhere total thing messed up, and the project is totally delayed by 1 full year. And the Colo data center, their end user is some Microsoft or AWS. There was already a DL started, all this LD started, so much of, because the meter is down already from 6 months, so the massive LD they faced. So actually the lesson here is that documentation is very, very important. Even the person is there or is left, if this person is there or not left, that should be recorded and that should be followed. Thank you.
No, absolutely. You know, the documentation is key for any project success. You know, all of us would agree on that same point. You know, we always say that there's a saying called, if it's not documented, it's not done. So definitely, and that saves a lot of hassles for the people who come in future. So people are bound to change, and that's how the trend is, not only in India, but globally. This is a trend that after a certain period, people will move on. And somebody will come in and they have to just go through the archives and do it. With Varad's experience, little different in this compared to what all of us, all 4 of us would have. What kind of challenges do you face, or what you have faced, and how have you come out of those challenges in your projects?
There's a great perspective that I have on this, because I'm at the receiving end as well as one of the verticals of NOCs, because NSO has integrated an AI chatbot as well as an application with Maharashtra Cyber as well. So when I say that there are problems with regards to NOCs, I understand very briefly from whatever the panelist has said what the problem is. I'll tell you what the government thinks about it. The government is proactively looking for partnership with private sectors. There are n number of examples with regards to that. So while I say this, I vehemently, expect that you guys solve the industry problems, and so that it becomes easier for the government to solve their issues as well. And with regards to training the police officers and training the, the people in charge of NOCs, I think that has already been done because of the collaborative partnership that we have in place. If I have to give you an example with regards to L&T, the police officers that are there were briefly and in a detailed manner trained by L&T people. So when we say that we need requirements from, let's say, a company like L&T or companies like you guys, we do look up to you guys for training us and to, help us accommodate the technology. So I believe that all of the problems that you've mentioned get solved really soon, and the government is open for partnership. That's how I'll summarize it.
Varad will say that I don't have any manpower problems. Agar hogi to main AI ko leke aa jaunga, and AI will do my job. So I don't need manpower over here. We will need manpower because AV works on ground, and I'm sure an AI will not be able to lay down the cables or do the soldering or do the optical splicing as Firdosh mentioned without the dust. So
I beg to differ here. In data center already, to replace a hard disk, to replace server, everything is done by robots. We don't require manpower.
So you are cutting down jobs for so many people who are here to listen to you, huh? So I'm jokes apart, Delta, Planar, Haivision are all the companies who are actively looking out for good people The shortage of the skilled manpower is always there in the industry. I did a good session yesterday on bridging that skill gap in the AV industry. So Varad, your problem was discussed yesterday, and we as an industry would seek your help to give us some more ideas on getting more people in this industry, and we train them and we make good use of them in overall perspective. With the end of this, I would conclude my discussion over here. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you all the people who are here to listen and see us so patiently since last 50 minutes almost. And thank you Informa Markets and Hive and AVICN for this opportunity. Thank you so much.